Hello YouTube, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are a returning viewer, if it's your first time, please like, subscribe, share the video. Okay, so today's video, I'm gonna react to Nerdrotic on YouTube. Not react, I'm just gonna watch and you're gonna watch me watch the video. That's basically it. So I've been avoiding anything to do with culture wars and stuff like that because not really that much for a comic book nerd or anything like that, but yeah. The quality of movies in general have declined a lot in the last few years. And I used to love superhero movies, so let's hear what he has to say about it. Especially since Disney bought Marvel. Oh my god, that's been a complete disaster. All the woke politics and shit that they've been injecting into their movies, made it, it's made the movies unwatchable. I didn't even see Captain Marvel. Honestly, all the trailers and shit, they give away the whole movie basically. So you don't missing out anything when you're watching these movies these days. There's no point. There's really no point.
Needs attention to deliver quality. It's not doesn't happen by accident, and quantity in our case diluted quality, and Marvel
Yes,
suffered greatly
definitely.
from that.
Go yourself. Is that
That is how I feel about Marvel movies, especially the since when did Endgame come out? 2017, 16. The last 5 years. Oh man, it's going downhill.
clear? I hope it is.
It is clear. We all feel
Nerdrotic.com.
that. We all
Greetings,
feel
you over 918,000 practitioners of common sense and the 40% who haven't subscribed yet. I've lost count at this point, but it's another week of Disney Schadenfreude. And that's a good thing. Now, we know how much the Access media loves that term, and I would love to put it on this video's title, but I've already done that too much already. So let's play a little game. Let's add it to some of my favorite headlines concerning Disney from 2023. Marvel is in a rut with Ant-Man and the Wasp, Commie Mania.
This movie, what a waste of time. They kill Kang in the end of it. You kill the big bad in the end of the movie. Or you send him away or some shit. And Modok, they made a joke out of something that should be a major threat on its own, a major villain. Honestly, they should have gone with Doctor Doom as the big bad, the overall big bad of the new Marvel phase instead of Kang the Conqueror, but I digress. This movie was a waste of time. It made no sense. People are taking off their helmets when they are shrinking and enlarging. You can't take off your helmet. It defies the whole point. Oh,
It feels like another whiff for the once unstoppable
Just a
studio,
disaster.
and that's a good thing. The Little Mermaid's box office drop is horrible for Disney's live action
Not even
remakes,
comment on
and that's
that.
a good thing. Indiana Jones 5 suffers worst ever
Another movie I didn't go to see because we already knew what was gonna happen.
box office losses in franchise
Yeah, long
history,
view.
and that's a good thing. Haunted Mansion extends Disney's box office cold streak, and that's a good thing. Box office bomb, The Marvels opens to, we now know, 46.
Oh, the first Captain Marvel movie I only went to see because I thought there might be something related to Endgame in there. That was the beginning of Nick Fury getting fucked over. Excuse my French. That's when they started messing with Nick Fury's character. A cat scratched out his eye.
Million
Seriously?
and new low for Marvel Studios, and that's a good thing. Wish had one of Disney's worst openings for an animated movie, and that's a good thing.
didn't
Disney
even
didn't
bother
have
with
a
that.
billion-dollar movie in 2023 after having 7 in 2019.
And we all know why.
And that's a good thing. Disney on track to lose nearly $750 million, that's $750 million to you and me, across 13 films in historic
That's a
year
lot of
of
money.
box office flops.
Where is these investors? Why aren't they saying anything or doing or intervening, doing it if you are losing, literally losing money? Millions. You're not saying shit, you're not doing anything, you're just letting this continue.
And that's a good thing. And for all you financial analysts out there, Nelson Peltz renews proxy fight against Disney. And that's a good thing. And I didn't even get to them all. So why are all of these failures a good thing? Am I celebrating the demise of one of the most storied entertainment companies of all time? Yes, after years of vilifying fans, alienating half the country, getting involved in politics, vandalizing beloved characters and franchises, weaponizing the access media.
Not the woman per se, I don't know. Hate is a strong word. I dislike what she's been doing to Star Wars and the franchise. Man. And all of these publications here, Variety, Hollywood Reporter, all these American publications have been lying to the fans as well, calling the fans toxic when the fans are criticizing the bad writing, the bad storylines, the bad visual effects, and then they call the fans toxic. Oh man, it's ridiculous.
Be an individual, say with alcoholism, or a corporation with the woke mind virus. Change doesn't happen until you hit bottom. Now, I don't expect Disney to change ever, but maybe others will learn from their failures. So what's a good leader to do after he triumphantly returns after firing his predecessor in the middle of the night on a Sunday to lord over his own failures? Does Bob Iger take the reins of Disney, practice some humility, take some responsibility, and inspire his employees to do better? Or
Or
does he hold a town meeting with those employees and not take a single question and then follow it up with an interview with the New York Times that actually makes things worse? Leading to my personal favorite moment of the year on the internet and maybe ever.
Go yourself. Is that clear?
Yes, it's very clear. It is very clear.
Now, before we
he was actually on the same. He was actually in the building, I think. No, he was in the audience, but he was there.
Get started with the weatherman's interview, I do have to point out at time of recording, it sits at 65,000 views on the New York Times events YouTube page, and Elon Musk's interview is sitting at 1.4 million.
Wow, 36,000 upvotes. 1.7 downvotes.
So let's get to Bobby Iger, and spoilers, a lot of this is going to sound familiar. The interview ranges from passing the buck to throwing people under the bus. There are some admissions of failure, but what you're not going to hear is the weatherman taking responsibility.
You said that you didn't want to come back, but you know...
This guy was in charge when they started, though, when they bought Marvel, and then they switched over to woke politics. He started. He set the precedent for it. And he's supposed to retire and his replacement comes in. That was just a fall guy. So that he can come back in later if it doesn't work out and then change back to the old ways. And then they can blame it on this guy that was there as his replacement.
There's been a lot of reporting that you never really wanted to leave. And even people now say, well, is he really going to leave in 2 years from now again? That you were frustrated. You were frustrated with Bob Chapek.
That reporting is completely inaccurate.
Except, of course, when it was accurate. According to the New York Post, Disney CEO Bob Iger refused to give successor Bob Chapek his office because of its private shower. That seems awfully petty, and it certainly doesn't sound like the actions of somebody who's on his way out the door. Chapek, now 63, told a friend that his tenure was about 3 years of hell, defined by the fear that Iger wanted his job back. And it turns out that fear was legit because Bob Chapek was both a moron and a fall guy. Bob Iger was always going to come back, and Fortune magazine agrees with me. Iger was still the real CEO. He remained executive chairman for almost 2 years, after which he finally stepped down completely. He then returned 11 months later. So after that,
he was probably just on leave or something. There's no way he was expect us to believe he was retired.
Piece of fiction, we get some more.
You were frustrated.
I felt that I had accomplished so much during my former tenure, including opening the Disneyland in Shanghai and in going into the streaming business very successfully.
Okay, fair enough. You're very proud of your achievement of opening up
Successfully. Of all the failed Disney Plus shows they've had in the last few years.
an amusement
mean
park in
successfully?
China, yet you pulled all your advertising from Twitter. We'll get to that. But about that launching a successful streaming service,
Man, this is some bullshit.
Yes, I agree. Because they failed horribly. Miserably. They lost us millions of
sure, you
subscribers.
gained a lot of subscribers when you launched it during the coof with a
And
captive
lost
audience, all while
millions.
abandoning the movie theaters that you pretend to love now. But isn't success measured by profitability, particularly with a giant mega corporation? Now, I'm no financial analyst, but the last time I checked, D Plus has yet to turn a profit. Then he goes on to throw his predecessor, Bobby Chapek, under the bus, and let's just get all of these out of the way now.
I
Chapek should say
was
something at this
disappointed
point.
in what I was seeing, both during the transition period when I was still there and while I was out.
What was your mistake then? To the degree you think that Bob Chapek was a mistake,
Nice edit.
I assume you imagine it's maybe one of your biggest.
Well, first of all, I'm not the only one that may have considered it a mistake. I've tried hard to conduct my own post-mortem, just so that we as a company don't do it again.
I need to check that. Give me a second. Okay, I'm back. I just had to go check something. Like my mug. I might start reacting to this too and upload it when something new comes out because I've already seen all those.
Then the weatherman says this.
It hurts when something that you've put your heart and soul into
Right.
and that you care about so much is going through a difficult time.
Yeah, no Bob.
Do you think in 2 years you really will step down?
Given the list of things that I have to do, I'm definitely going to step.
Well, you could say
Now that's the statement that a few people have been running with, making it sound like he was going to step down right now. No, it's in 2 years, 2026,
Never gonna
and it's highly questionable if that will happen because he said he was going to step down before.
Definitely going to step.
well, you could say given the list of things you have to do.
Now we're attacking each one of them. I'm confident we will do so successfully.
Let's
Well, you're about a year in, Bob, and the only things you have attacked successfully are good storytelling and the paying customer. Now, this interview is filled with corporate speak.
When you are villainizing your own audience, your own customers, you're calling them toxic, putting all kind of isms. No isms, like isms and stuff. Like they've been calling them racist, homophobic, sexist, all of these things. You can't call your own fans, the people that pay for all your content. You can't keep calling them these things and then expect them to still go and watch your movies. And then when they don't go and watch your movies, you still blame it on them for the same reasons. When you've been telling them if you don't like it, don't watch it, then people are not gonna go and watch it. And you can't blame them for listening to you. Oh man, it makes no sense.
Gobbledygook.
We can do that. Second, they can be run in partnership with those businesses that sit atop the new business model, which is streaming. And there are means of aggregating audience, of amortizing cost, of basically aggregating audience, reaching more and different people.
That sounds a lot like this.
We keep making the same movie over and over and pandering to everyone, but suddenly it's not working. Then we've got to pander harder.
Oh, this was great. It's about maybe a year late if you ask me, but I'm glad South Park said something about it.
Let me ask you about that IP. You just mentioned Pixar and Marvel and all,
It's actually a good episode called Pandaverse. You need to check that out.
and so many of these other things. Very recently, as you've seen, because you get the box office numbers every weekend, a number of these films have not performed. They have not performed the way they used to. People question the creative magic at Disney. You can look at the Marvels.
There's
I'm
no
curious
more
why you
creative
think that
magic.
disappointed.
They're just
You could look at Wish,
taking the old movies and
Indiana
perverting it.
Jones.
Now, we know why all these films have failed. They were simply commoditized delivery systems for the message, filled with intersectional feminism and identity politics, prioritized over good storytelling. But
And this movie, like, a shitload of problems that make no sense. The plot line makes no sense. The motivations make no sense. Nothing makes sense in that movie. The
Let's hear
Marvels.
Bob's answer.
What do you think?
So I didn't even bother
What's
going to
happened?
Well, I
see
think you
it.
have to look at it a couple of ways. First of all, I think the movie business is changing, actually.
It's not
Box
changing.
office today is about 75% of what it was pre-COVID. I think we have conditioned the audience to expect that these films will be on streaming platforms relatively quickly.
Have you though, Bob? Because I think there's a few movies that say different just off the top of my head. Super Mario Brothers,
Made a
Barbie,
billion.
Oppenheimer,
Made a
Five
billion.
Nights at Freddy's, and to a lesser extent, Godzilla -1. My favorite film of the year, and thanks to its $15 million budget, a movie that will be more profitable than
waiting to see
anything
this movie.
Disney has put out this year. But things have gotten so bad, Bob Iger can no longer deny it.
I might
In
see
our
it today.
particular case, and specifically about those films,
No,
some of
we'll
those
see it
films,
next week.
they
It's
were
fine.
not as good, they were not as high in quality, not every one that you mentioned, as some of their predecessors, our films, and as they should have been, particularly in this environment.
Why do you think that was?
A reminder, The Marvels is a sequel to Captain Marvel, where Captain Marvel was devoted in her own sequel, and this was greenlit under Bob Iger's reign. As I said in my review, it doesn't rate very high on the agenda scale. It's not particularly woke, but its complete basis is in intersectional feminism. But let's hear Bob's excuse because it is the worst kind of cope.
Well, The Marvels was shot during COVID. There wasn't as much supervision on the set, so to speak.
Shot
we had
during
executive-
COVID. That's a lie. You've been reshooting since the last 2-3 years. You've been reshooting this movie. It wasn't
is
shot
there
during
really
COVID.
looking over what's being done day after day after day.
You heard right. The Marvel's failure was blamed on COVID, preventing executives to keep an eye on the diverse female director that they hired. I'm sorry, the diverse female director that Kevin Feige cast. Now, this excuse was so bad, even David Ayer had to chime in.
And that was a result of, mostly of
Makes no
COVID, but at the
sense.
same time, we
Nothing you
increased
guys
our
says makes
output
sense.
tremendously to feed the streaming platforms. Too much, by the way.
Mistake.
Definite mistake.
And no, you don't have to question your sanity. You just heard Bob Iger blame the rest of Marvel's failures on COVID, which caused a shortage of executives.
Quality needs attention to deliver
I doubt
quality.
it.
It's not doesn't happen by accident. And quantity, in our case, diluted quality. And Marvel suffered greatly from that.
So how's Bob gonna turn things around? Well, he spends a lot of it talking out of both sides of his mouth by admitting that they make too many sequels.
I don't want to apologize for making sequels. Some of them have done extraordinarily well, and they've
No,
been
they
good
haven't.
films too. I think there has to be a reason to make them. You have to have a good story, and often the story doesn't hold up to. It's not as strong as the original story. That can be a problem, but it just has to have a reason. You have to have a reason to make it beyond commerce.
Then Bob somewhat complains about Elemental being considered a flop and even calls the perception of this curious.
By the way, which is interesting about kind of the New World Order, did okay at the box office. Elemental's a good example, about 500 million at the box
The movie
office.
hasn't come
By the
out
way,
yet.
to some studios, that would be a
But things
gigantic
are
hit.
out there.
When Disney has a $500 million
New World
film,
Order
it's
thing.
a failure, which is interesting.
What's curious is Bob doesn't mention the insane budgets that led to the 13
about
films
to
that have
say
come
that.
out this year to lose $750 million. So Bob has essentially repeated what he said at least
It doesn't matter if the movie makes 500 million if you spend 700 or 800 million making the thing, because you have to take the whole budget of the movie plus promotions, advertising, all those things add up.
twice over the past year that Disney is going to focus on quality over quantity. Then Disney's politics get brought up.
Will Disney stay out of making political statements?
No.
Our
That's a
Earth
no.
is extraordinary, and it needs us now.
I think there's a misperception here about what politics is. And I think that some of the subjects
think
that
there
have
is.
proven to be controversial as it relates to Disney have been branded political, and I don't necessarily believe they are. I don't think when you are telling stories and attempting to be a good citizen of the world that that's political. Just not how I view it. Do I like the company being embroiled in controversy? Of course
Oh
not.
my
It can be
God.
distracting and it can have a negative impact on the company. And to the extent that I can work to kind of quiet things down, I'm going to do that.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's a clip from November 2022. Here's the clip from just a few days ago.
When it comes time to taking positions about issues, I have tried really hard over the years, and I'm not calling them politics because a lot of them are not politics. Sometimes it's what is right and what is wrong. When it comes time to taking positions, I have tried really hard to apply a standard that is relevant to the, it asks, is this relevant to the company? There are times when there are subjects that maybe we should not comment on because they're not relevant, unless they are of such importance to the world. When, by the way, I think, it's interesting when you think of...
Dude, you are running an entertainment company, not a political party.
About the world and who people listen to and what they expect of leaders. And I just think that there's a time and a place for companies to weigh in on issues. And it's actually something that I think CEOs get paid to do.
Bob has also said multiple times that he wants to quiet things down in the culture war, but every time he says something like this, he steps right back in it.
I mentioned X, and we're going to see Elon Musk in a little bit. You stopped advertising on X.
We did.
Tell us about that decision.
And by him taking the position that he took in quite a public manner, we just felt that the association with that position and Elon Musk and X was not necessarily a positive one for us, and we decided we would pull our advertising.
First, the good news for me and you. Now that Disney's pulled its advertising from Twitter, we don't have to watch their garbage trailers. And some more good news. This was a mask-off moment. Yes, a lot of giant corporations, in my opinion, colluded behind the scenes to leave Twitter, not because of a disingenuously framed tweet by a political organization, because they wanted to take out a potential competitor and somebody who was disrupting the system. Elon didn't take kindly to that, which led to the greatest moment of this year.
Don't advertise.
You don't want them to advertise?
No.
What do you mean?
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go f yourself. Go f yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is. Hey, Bob.
That was glorious, and it continues to put a smile on my face since the day it happened. And yes, we need to normalize CEOs of giant corporations telling other CEOs of giant corporations to go f yourself. But I think the more important quote is what Elon said after that.
I'm saying what I care about is the reality of goodness, not the perception of it. And what I see all over the place is people who care about looking good while doing evil. Them.
And Elon's not wrong, especially when it comes to Disney, who continues to advertise heavily on TikTok, which has its own problems that Elon pointed out. Then, of course,
hold on.
There's Disney shrinking Finn on the Force Awakens poster for China, covering up Chadwick Boseman's face on the Black Panther poster for China, and thanking a concentration camp in China. And let's not forget editing out alphabet content for the Middle East. So not necessarily such a big surprise. Corporate CEOs are full of shit. But it's great when they start calling each other out. I'm hoping for cage matches next. And while there is bad news, these giant corporations are going to continue to divide fandoms that were harmonious for many, many years. Change is on the way. More people are waking up. I am currently in Los Angeles attending the Los Angeles Comic-Con, and I will be co-hosting two panels. One called The Death of the Modern Franchise, and the other one called Why 99% of Movies Are Garbage Today. And the fact that we can have these panels at a Comic-Con next to all the diversity panels is a good thing. That is us winning. All on a weekend where a little monster movie from Japan, Godzilla -1, is killing it.
I like all the Godzilla movies, but I think they need to slow it down on the content. I mean, they've been releasing a lot lately.
Considering its budget, proving that while the message divides, good stories will always bring people together. If you like what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like what you heard, I thank you for listening.
Please like, share, and subscribe to me and to Nerdrotic. He's trying to get to, I think, 1 million. Is it? I think he's trying to get to 1 million. Yeah. You guys should go and subscribe to him if you like what you heard, if you enjoyed it. Comment down below what else I should react to, what you wanna see. Yeah, yeah. He's trying to get to 1 million. I'm just starting up. I'm trying to get to 4,000 views and watch hours and all of that. So yeah, subscribe to both channels. Original content creator. Please go support him. Yeah, you can catch me on all social media platforms if you want a more personalized interaction. This is actually what I've been looking at on my Twitter feed. We can see that. Hold on. Let me adjust this. This is the type of content I usually watch. It's Mara, Itachi, Obito, and Pain. It says rank these four from best to worst. Better now. From best to worst, I would rank Mara number 1, Itachi number 2, as far as villains and motivations go. Then Pain and Obito in last place. Look, Obito is not a bad villain. It's just that he's a bad villain. He didn't stick to his motivations. He gave up too easily. In the end, he turned out to be a good guy because he switched around. He flip flopped. That's a bad villain. You need to be like Madara. Itachi is ranked number 2 not just because he's a villain, but because he's an amazing character. And he had motivations that he stuck to from the beginning to the end. He saw it through. Yeah. So like, subscribe, share the video. Check out my other content on mostly on TikTok. I think I'm at 1,000. Wait. See how many followers am I up to now.
My recipe for bringing people together is good.
This right here might be.
We're up to 800 followers in just about 2-3 weeks. 800 followers, that's not bad. Oh yeah, head over there and check out rest of my content. Also on Twitter, Facebook.